Hello everyone, this is Gene and I'm back with another video. So I wanted to make what I hope to be a brief video about the character of Captain Li Shang, who was one of the main characters and the male love interest for Mulan in Disney's 1998 film Mulan. Now, as I think most people know, the film is getting a live action remake, as is pretty much every major film from the 90s Renaissance, and this is just continuing in that tradition. So I just wanted to address Shang's removal from the film, and in particular some comments that I believe the producer of the film made in trying to explain why the character was removed. So, unlike with some people that I've seen reacting online, I'm not surprised that the character of Shang was taken out of the film. This is because when the film was first mentioned back, I believe, at some point in 2018, they already said back then that they were removing the character of Li Shang, or rather, I should say, they were reimagining him. He was going to end up being a fellow soldier in the unit as opposed to the commander of the unit as he is in the film. But what is surprising to me is the reasons given by the producer, why he was removed. So I just want to look at what the producer said. I'm taking this from the original Collider article many people sent in different news outlets have responded, but I'm taking this from the original Collider article. So, quoting Collider, it says here, one moment, of course, when I need it, the tab crashes. Okay, come back, tab, come on. So, according to Collider, right, Mulan, why Captain Li Shang isn't in the live-action remake. First of all, Collider, your military rank straight, because in the beginning of the article refers to Li Shang as a captain, then it refers to him as a general. Make up your mind. If I remember correctly, throughout the film, he was a captain. Okay, military rank is actually quite important here because of what the film is and who the film is about. Please get it right. But anyway, according to I believe it's Jason Reed, it says here, according to producer Jason Reed, we'll actually still have Li Shang in the new Mulan, sort of. So these are Jason's words. We split Li Shang into two characters. One became Commander Tung, played by Donnie Yen, who serves as her surrogate father. So I'm guessing he's going to represent, Shang as the leader, as the trainer, right? And mentor in the course of the film. The other is Hong Hui. My Chinese is awful, so I have no doubt I said that wrong. My apologies. Yo Sun An, who is Mulan's equal in the squad. So, like I said, I'd heard back in 2018 that the character of Shang was going to go from commander of the unit to a fellow soldier, which naturally is going to change their dynamic. So it goes on to say that Reed cites the Me Too movement as an influence on their decision to rework the character. So apparently these are his words. I think particularly in the time of the Me Too movement, having a commanding officer that is also the sexual love interest was very uncomfortable, and we didn't think it was appropriate. Okay, here's the thing, and here's why he's objectively wrong on several counts. Of course, when I'm recording something, there has to be noise outside. Thank you, New York City. But anyway, as I was saying, here's first of all why he's wrong on several counts, objectively speaking. Number one, Mulan is not a romance film. It doesn't even have a real romance subplot. The only hints of romance in the film between Mulan and Shang are at the very end of the film. Mulan is first and foremost a war epic. It is a war epic and Disney's action film of the 90s Renaissance. And if you don't believe me, you can look at the Disney Princess line. Mulan is officially a part of the Disney Princess line because of her military service. She was not born royalty. She did not marry royalty. She's in there because of her military service, because she saved all of China. First of all, right? So there's that. Number two, as I just said, the only hints of romance in the film happen at the end of the film. And even then, because again, this is about ancient China and not the West, there's no hugging or kissing or anything of that sort. Right? What happens, if I remember correctly, is that she goes home to her family after turning down a government position, mind you. Girl, what are you thinking? But she goes home, and then, right, Li Shang happens upon her, and he shyly asks if he can have dinner with her family. And then the grandmother makes a joke or says something to the effect of, "Can you stay forever?" Right? And that causes them to both be shy and awkward. It's literally at the end of the film. There is no real hints of romance or even a romantic subplot during the film itself. Number two, or is this three? It's probably three now. Number three. He's probably trying to bring up the idea of fraternization, right? Fraternization in the military, this is across all types of militaries all across the world, is when two people, oftentimes a supervisor and a subordinate in the same unit, have too close a relationship. Oftentimes in media, it is dramatized and romanticized as the clandestine forbidden romance, but it could even be something like, just being too good of friends, right? Because the idea is that a person's leadership is going to be compromised because of their personal relationship with this person, especially if there's an uneven power structure, which oftentimes there is because it's the military and the military has a hierarchy, right? Here's the thing, that's not an issue. Okay, that is not an issue with Mulan or Shang. This is not like they are Roy and Hawkeye from Full Metal Alchemist, right? Where you have two people who are supervisor and subordinate throughout the entire work, and there's obviously a bond there that goes well beyond just professional courtesy. They don't have that type of relationship. Remember, Mulan's military service ends when she's found out, when they discover she's a woman and that she's dishonored the army by impersonating a man. Remember when Shang kicks her out and shows her mercy by allowing her to take her horse and somehow ride back, right, in the freezing cold and snow after she caused the avalanche? Yeah, her military service ended right there, right? Ping was over at that point. She's no longer a soldier. She's no longer beholden to the army in any sense of the term. In fact, one of her struggles towards the end of the film, when they all meet up again, once they get to the royal palace, is getting Shang to listen to her. And she even brings up the fact that he would have listened when she was Ping. So what's the difference now? Right? So she has no military rank for like the entire third act of the film. And by the time the movie ends, he most likely has been at least debriefed and relieved of his rank, at least temporarily, meaning that at the end of the film, he's just a guy. She's just a girl. They have no, at least from best I can tell, I'm not Chinese, I'm no expert on Chinese culture, but at least from what I do know of the military and how military cultures work, they have no rank. There is no issue of rank or fraternization that would keep them apart. So there's no issue there. They can be an item, at least from a military standpoint, if they want to, right? It would be equivalent to a man who's enlisted, right? Who's a captain in the military, and he has a girl at home who is not military, or I guess in Mulan's case, ex-military, Because remember, by the time the film ends, she's just a regular farm girl again. In the film version, she does not stay in the army. It's not like the ballad version where she served for like 12 years or whatever it was, right? At the end of the film, she's just a regular girl again. She just happens to have saved all of China by killing Shan Yu. But from a military perspective, there's no problem, right? There's nothing stopping them from having a relationship. Number two, what am I up to, four? 4 or 5 now. This is a Disney film, okay? There's no, at least not on its face, there is no sexual love interest. It's a Disney film. He's a romantic interest. Get it right. Get your head out of the gutter. And he's barely even that because, again, this isn't like, say, all the other films prior to it, right? There's no big kiss at the end. Okay? They just awkwardly have dinner together. They're not even shown to be firmly in a relationship until, what was it? Mulan 2? Which was, what, the home video, right? Right, the whole movie video, home video type of thing, or like straight to video, straight to DVD type of thing. So yeah, there's nothing, at least from best I can tell, there's nothing to worry about, and I don't see how the Me Too movement should even be a factor in here. Now I also disagree with a lot of what Collider says, especially about Shang being a bisexual icon. He was not in love with Ping. I don't see any proof in the film that he was in love with Ping. The whole, Sweet Polly Oliver thing where a woman impersonates a man and a guy somehow figures it out or something has been done before, right? It doesn't automatically mean that a male character is bisexual. So I think that with certain things, especially with the LGBTQ community, certain, I guess you could say, headcanons have taken on a life of their own, and this whole thing about Shang being accidentally bi is one of them, in my personal opinion. Right? Even though it's not a perfect example, it kind of reminds me of how sometimes people want the character to match the actor. For example, with what was it, the newer Star Trek films, they made the character of Sulu gay because George Takei is gay, even though George himself said that he played Sulu as a straight man and that's how he wanted the character to stay. Did they listen to him? No. I think that a similar thing is happening here. Although, if I remember correctly, the actor who played, who did the speaking voice for Shang, I forget his real name, but I know that he played the Asian doctor on like all of the CSI shows, right? Right, the New York Law and Order TV shows. I just forget his real name. But he, if I remember correctly, is gay. But just because he is gay does not mean that the character of Li Shang, right, is bisexual and therefore attracted to both men and women. Okay? The actor's sexuality doesn't automatically mean, or rather I should say that because the actor is of a certain sexual orientation, does not automatically mean that the character they play is going to be of the same orientation. If that's the case, then the character of Barney Stinson should be gay because Neil Patrick Harris is gay, and yet he's not. I think people need to let their headcanons go and stop trying to make them real. You want to try to make it real or make it canon, go write fan fiction just like everybody else. But yeah, about Li Shang, that's it. Now about the songs. I understand, I should say, why people are upset that the songs aren't going to be featured. I understand why they're not going to be featured. This is a very different type of film. It's not going to be a musical. It's going to be a wuxia film. It's going to be much more serious and somber. And I understand all that. But I think, and it's too late to fix it now. I mean, the film comes out in a few weeks. It comes out, March 27th? But what I'm hoping is that even if they don't have the songs per se, I'm hoping that they have the sequences, even in a general sense. Because there's actually a lot of storytelling done in the musical numbers, in the film, and just in musical theater in general. That's how the major points of the story are told, through the musical numbers. But take, for example, I'll Make a Man Out of You, right? There's a lot of storytelling going on in there. First of all, there's the growth and progression, right? It shows that Shang's warriors are not, these specially, right? They don't come in skilled, right? They don't have any prior knowledge of training of war. He's the only experienced soldier there, and he has to whip basically the ancient Chinese version of the Bad News Bears into shape, and he has to do it quickly. You know what this is called in the real world? Basic training. This is important, especially to Mulan's growth, right? She doesn't start out, at least she shouldn't start out, hopefully, in this new one, as this legendary warrior. She starts out a normal girl, and she has to learn to become a warrior and a soldier, just like everybody else does. Everybody sucks in the beginning of the song. Second, right, there's at least two major events that are foreshadowed in the song. Right, there's a section where they're shown trying to learn how to use the rockets and everything. In that section, the mountain avalanche and Shan Yu's death are foreshadowed in that song. Those are two major plot points, and the film is foreshadowing it in that song. Another point is that during that song, right, comes Mulan's moment of truth, right? There's a point where Shang tells her, you're not cut out for this. Take your horse, go home. You're out of here. You're through, right? And she has to make a decision. Does she try one more time, or does she leave? She decides to try one more time and to do the one thing no one else has proven capable of, which is to get the arrow, right, on top of the pole. And she does it by actually taking those like metal weights, gold weights or whatever they are, and tying them together and using them as a way to hoist herself up instead of trying to use them like a weight and hold herself down, right? So she climbs up there and she finally gets it, right? And it's implied in the sequence that it took her at least a few hours. Right? It looks like it took her if not all night, at least most of the night, because by the time Shang actually comes back out, right, she's sitting on top of the pole, and it's daylight, and when that section starts, it's clearly nighttime. So it took her hours to actually do that. That's a big storytelling point, right? Showing her resolve and her commitment. That's huge. And I'm hoping that I'm hoping that the loss of the songs doesn't equate the loss of those very important storytelling elements that the song encapsulates, right? And personally, in my opinion, I think that they should have girl worth fighting for, because militaries all across the world do have songs that they sing. They call cadence and they sing, and they have all different types of songs that they sing. That section of the film is by no means inaccurate. Now, yes, you want to tone down like the over the top goofiness. I get that, but having them sing, as they march on, right? For a long time now, we've been marching off the battle. In a thundering herd, we feel a lot like cattle. There's nothing wrong there. That happens. That's the truth. So I'm hoping they will find some way to work that in there, especially since with that song in particular, right? That song ends on a very somber note, right? Because right when they're about to sort of ping, really Mulan with snowballs, they come upon the destroyed village, right? And that's when it gets real. That's when it stops being a joke in a game in like a frat club, and they realize, oh crap, we're at war, right? They're at this burned out village that's been raised by the Huns, and then they find this, toy that a little girl once had, and they realize that's the girl worth fighting for, not their dream girl, right? The dream girl is fine, right? Keeps the boys motivated, but that's not what they should be fighting for. They should be fighting for the very real women and girls and, men and peasants, right? Who are all these innocent people, is probably what I should say, that are losing their lives to this, what seems like for a long time, this unconquerable enemy of the Huns, right? That's a real whiplash moment, which they need, and which by extension the audience needs to understand that it just got real. It just got very real. It's not a joke in a game anymore. And again, to take that sequence out, I fear that they're going to lose that very important part, which is a big part of the storytelling. So I'm guessing you won't know until the film comes out, but I am hoping that with the removal of the songs, that they haven't lost those elements either. And as I said in my review last year, I think of the first major trailer that was released, I'm not expecting it to be like the 1998 Disney film. They've made it clear they're not making it like the 1998 Disney film. But I do hope that they don't that they don't deviate so far that it's not recognizable. I'm hoping they can strike this balance between trying to respect and honor Chinese audiences and Chinese culture with still honoring, what their core audience, which are Americans, right, know and remember about this film. It's a very fine line to walk, and I'm not entirely sure Disney can walk it, especially since their 90s era live action remakes, they how do I put it? It's one of those things where people are becoming less and less enthused, right? People are going to see them, but they're not having as positive a reaction as they once did. So I'm guessing we just have to wait and see. I don't know if I'll go see the film. I might not. If I do, I'll let you all know what I think. But anyway, this is what I think about the Li Shang business. And the Li Shang has been Me Too'd. I find it to be a cheap excuse. They were already gonna reimagine his character long before Me Too was announced. And as I explained earlier, there's nothing, at least on the military end, that should be keeping them apart. I don't see where there's a Me Too issue. Besides, it's ancient freaking China. It's an entirely different point in history of a country that is not America, right? The ancient Chinese idea of sexual harassment is not the same as the modern day American idea of it. And hell, not even modern day Americans can agree on what Me Too is or was or what it's supposed to be. So can we please stop trying to politicize every damn thing? But anyway, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day or night, and wherever you are and whatever you're doing, be safe, be happy, and have fun. Bye.